What Zenography is a slightly different way of looking at photography. It's looking at photography in a Zen sense, in a meditative sense, where photography becomes a form of meditation, a discovery of beauty, a discovery of the infinite in the everyday. Photography is obviously concerned with the moment, capturing the moment, being in the moment. And this chimes with the Buddhist idea of nowness. So the idea in Zenography is that photography is a way to experience nowness, a way to be in the moment, a way to be right in now. Because there is only now. The future is imaginary, the past is gone. And it's important to, if we're looking at this as a form of meditation, it's important to look at it as a way of capturing nowness, a way of appreciating and being in nowness. Cartier-Bresson talked about the moment, the decisive moment. And if you can see the moment, if you can do good photography, if you can make good photography, you need to see the moment and you need to be in that moment. So that's some of what Zenography is about. It's important in meditation to have both an alertness and a relaxation at the same time. And we find that state also is found in photography. This is a state that we need in photography to find the image and to see the image in nowness. You've got to be alert because you need to know what's going on around you. You need to be able to think logically and rationally about what makes a good shot. You need to be able to feel emotionally what makes a good shot. But you need to be relaxed enough to be in the creative state of mind to find that shot. I'm a big believer in the notion that creativity cannot be forced and you have to be in a certain relaxed frame of mind to find it. Another thing that Zenography does, another thing that it concentrates on when we're doing our photography, is a way to overcome the subject and object barrier. That is to say, to become one with what you're looking at. To have no distinction between the observer and the observed. This is a notion in Hinduism, in Hindu thinking, that the observer is also the observed. There is no difference between in here and out there. They are the same, they are one. And in order to practice photography in this way, indeed in order to practice photography at all, you have to feel and become your subject. So Zenography is a way of uniting the subject and the object, the subjective and the objective, the observer and the observed. To become one with what you're photographing, to feel as it feels, to be as it is, to be in its nowness. It's also a means of generating joy. We have to feel joy and euphoria in our art, as indeed Buddhism and similar systems of thought are emphasizing very much this idea of discovering joy, of discovering beauty, often in the very mundane. And this is a vital thing in any art form. But if we can see the beauty in a moment, if we can see the joy in a moment, in an image, in a potential image, this is Zenography. Photography deals with light as well as form. I think light has, if I've understood it correctly, light has by a number of thinkers been equated with consciousness. Consciousness being, in the Eastern traditions, the first element, the prime element, that from which all else is derived. First comes consciousness, then comes everything else: space, time, matter, memory. Consciousness creates all. So we're dealing with light, we're dealing with something that is equated with consciousness. For a beam of light, there is no time. If you do the maths, if you do the relativity equations, I'm no mathematician, so it's probably completely beyond me. But people who understand the matter far better than me tell me that relative to a beam of light, there is no time between the point that that beam of light begins its journey and where it ends. So a ray of light, for example, traveling from the sun, takes, as I understand it, 4 minutes to get to this planet, to my eye, because it travels at 186,000 miles per second relative to me, but relative to itself, no time passes. Therefore, light is outside time. Light is in the realm of eternity. Light is in the place that poets and philosophers have intuited to exist. The place outside time and space, the place outside this world of growth and change, this world of decay, this world of matter and impermanence and samsara. So light we can think of as something eternal. And this is another way that photography can be looked at in terms of Zen, in fact, in terms of Zenography. any art form, in any art form, there comes a point where if we're going to do it well, if we're going to do it to the fullest extent of our abilities and its potential, we need to lose the self. That is to say, the thinking self, the self of the ego, the false self, rather than the self of reality, the self of pure consciousness, the self of pure creativity. So we lose that in the moment, in the creative moment. We lose the false self. We deal only with the true reality. We deal only with pure consciousness and its perception of pure beauty or aesthetic in the nowness of the moment. And so these are some basic ideas of what I think we can call Zenography. You can do Zenography with any camera. You don't need any particular kit. You can do it with a pinhole camera. You can do it with a cheap digital camera. You can do it with your phone camera. You can do it with a very expensive, like a rangefinder. You can do it with a top of the tree, full frame digital. You can do it with an old film camera. You can do it with any thing, any machine that will make images. There is no prescription. It doesn't have to be a particularly simple machine. It doesn't have to be a very complex machine. All it needs to be is a machine that makes pictures. A machine that captures now. A machine that captures nowness and beauty. You can, in fact, you can appreciate your kit in Zenography. You can appreciate your photographic kit. I've got just over here, you probably see just a few very different kinds of camera. We've got here, this is a Leica 2 from 1932, a very beautiful old thing. Right next to it, we've got a Leica 3 from 1935, and then we've got a Rollei A110, which is a camera that takes 110 film cartridges, a fairly simple sort of point and shoot. And right next to that, we've got this very beautiful, very wonderful Sony A7, which is a very modern mirrorless full frame camera. Any of these will do. You don't have to have any particular kind of kit, and you can appreciate the camera as well as what it does. One of the things we'll be looking at is the way that we can use each separate camera, each kind of camera, rather, what are its strengths, what are its weaknesses. So in the next video, we'll be looking at the Leica 2, which is the first of the cameras here, the one right next to me here. So we'll be looking at that, and we'll be looking at some of the images that I've made with it. So until then, happy Zenography.